Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are watching another Chilling Scares video, or at least this is the second one that I've watched. I don't know what order these videos come out in, called 5 Most Disturbing Internet Rabbit Holes. I've been excited to watch this one because the thumbnail is bizarre to me. It looks like somebody trying to show the best of me suicide footage to like a random UFC like stake.com like internet YouTuber boxing match. He's just trying to like fling him with like the best gore right before he goes on stage just to like kind of like throw him off his game or some shit. I don't know. I know sometimes sometimes YouTubers will put two thumbnails together to modify them. I don't think Chilling Scares usually does this. I know he can he takes thumbnails out of context to make you want to click it, but you know what? We're gonna click it. We're gonna find out. I like this guy's
UFC
content.
walkout photo.
Okay, we're starting with it, which is great. See, this is the thing I like about Chilling Scares, because usually if it was anyone else, this would be the last thing in the video. This would be, you would click the thumbnail and it would be like, oh, I wonder what that thumbnail is about. This this is why I love Chilling Scares. This is the only fucking guy on the planet who like, you wonder, hey, what's that thumbnail about? You click it and the very first thing is about the thumbnail. Anyway, let's keep going.
On October 18th, 2025, a UFC fight
I
night.
think even just by that title, can I predict? I need to keep interrupting. This whole point of this channel is for me to keep interrupting. This is a reaction. If you want to just watch the video straight, then just click the link in the description and watch the video. I'm going to say it's because they always do the walkouts, right? So he said USC walkout photo. Okay. So he's doing a walkout, and there's like the people with the signs are like, oh, yeah. And then somebody flings out the best score. Yes, exactly. Somebody shows the best score, but it's not to the guy, like how I originally thought. It's to the camera. They're trying to gore jump scare the rest of the audience, which I feel like makes more sense. I feel like it's funny to do it to the guy who's about to be fighting, but it probably makes more sense to try and show that shit on camera. Anyway, that's what I think this is going to be about.
Match between Brendan Allen and Ryanair de Ritter in Vancouver went viral across the internet, but not because of the fight itself. Instead, the moment that caught everyone's attention happened during Brendan's walkout.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Do you know what's crazy? I was watching a Super Eye Patch Wolf video about Logan Paul, because I know next to nothing about Logan Paul. I also know next to nothing about Super Eye Patch Wolf, but that's not like spooky, scary content, so we don't watch that here. Anyway, digression aside, no one has ever died in the history of UFC, which I thought was really crazy, because a ton of people have died in boxing, a ton of people have died in like the WWE, which isn't even supposed to be real. Like, it's all people acting. Obviously, they're doing like dangerous stunts and stuff, so it's reasonable that someone would die. But it's crazy that the safety standards in the UFC are so high, given how violent the sport is. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
A small handful of people noticed that as he was making his way to the octagon, a fan flashed his phone to the camera for a split second, showing what looked like a very disturbing image. What a lot of people thought was the picture of a lifeless body lying on the ground.
I kind of see it. I don't think it's that, to be clear. I keep making the joke about the best score. I think it's probably like like he's trying to show the camera like a still video of like something going on or something. It does kind of look like the Turkish diving incident video, though, a little bit. Except it looks like this person's propped up and not on the ground. Like, it would be if it was flipped that way, it would look like the Turkish diving video.
What a lot of people thought was the picture of a lifeless body lying on the ground. What made this already creepy incident even more disturbing was when the camera moved a bit further and showed the person who was holding the phone. He was wearing a luchador-inspired wrestling mask, likely to hide it.
Okay. He doesn't look like a serial killer, for sure. He looks like some college kid. However, that gains credence. That improves the idea that this might be showing LiveLeak footage to the camera because he's a 4chaner and he thinks that's funny. Or it could just be him trying to show a funny video that he and his friends made.
His identity, all while looking directly at the camera with an unsettling, almost psychotic smile.
Okay, no. This looks like this looks like Chandler and Brian taking a photo together at the fraternity, like outside the fraternity, taking their with their suits and stuff. It doesn't look that scary.
On his face, which begs the question: what was this picture, and why?
Oh my god, that's way better quality. Okay, that does actually look I don't think it's I think it looks fake for sure, but it's supposed to be scary. Now that I see this is supposed to be creepy. Is this okay? Insane pull here. Is this from the opening of the second August Underground movie? Should I even admit that I know that? Is it kind of? I'm gonna just, you know what? I shouldn't have even mentioned it. I'm just gonna let you scare.
Why did he show it on live TV to an audience of millions? Reverse image searching the picture on the phone doesn't bring up any similar results, and no one has been able to link it to some movie or TV show either.
Unless I just did.
In other words, the person holding the phone likely took the picture themselves, and judging from what it looks like, the most disturbing explanation that comes to mind is that the man in the luchador mask had killed the person in the photo.
I don't buy that, but I do think he's edgy. He probably found some video. This is the one thing, people always bring this up in these videos of oh, somebody took this image or somebody found this image and people reverse image searched it, but nobody ever found out the source. Isn't that so crazy? Look at how shitty quality this is. No image reverse software is going to, even if you crop this, even if you saturate it, even if you AI upscale it, it's not going to come up with any results. Ever. It's not going to work.
Millions likely took the picture themselves, and judging from what it looks like, the most disturbing explanation that comes to mind is that the man in the luchador mask had killed the person in the photo. The person appeared to have heavy bruises, including black eyes and possibly a bloody mouth. Even if they were alive, they appeared to be in serious danger, possibly after being kidnapped by the
my computer just finished downloading the Sandbox open developer preview.
Perpetrator. And while this might sound absurd at first, it's definitely a real possibility to consider. There have been countless killers throughout history who craved attention and
who have shown a body at a UFC match?
Deliberately left behind clues to become famous.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Maybe this particular killer thought showing off their crime on TV was the best way to receive that attention.
I don't think
and
so.
With the virality and discussion online, he certainly achieved that goal. On a similar note, this could also be a ransom kidnapping situation, where the stunt was meant to publicly prove the victim was still alive to their family, especially—
That would go so hard. That's absolutely 100% not what this is, but that would go so crazy. Yes, you want me to prove that your daughter is still alive. Well, go tonight, purchase the pay-per-view for the UFC. Yes, I know it's not free. It was the only one I could get into. Anyway, purchase UFC 91, the fight with, I already forgot what their names are. And during the walkout of so-and-so, watch very carefully, because I will be there. And you will see proof that your daughter is still alive. That's like a movie plot. That's not what this is. But whoever thought of that theory, they would get an ace score in the creative writing class.
Since sending the photo directly would risk law enforcement tracing it back to the kidnappers. That said, there are a few notable innocent theories suggesting the opposite that have likely kept law enforcement from conducting any—
He doesn't look very old, and it looks like a couple of buddies trolling to get some attention. Exactly. It looks like a bit. Shut up, Joka 16 Red. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so harsh. It looks, yeah. It's legit. The dude flashes his phone as a mask on, but you can see a big grin on his face as if he was there to do it. He doesn't look very old, and it looks like a couple of buddies trolling to get some attention. That is exactly the vibe I'm getting from this. 100%.
any real investigation. Some have suggested that this was nothing more than a prank. As a user on Reddit,
And this is also why I appreciate Chilling Scares, is that yes, he does bring up the cringe takes that definitely aren't real, but then he follows it up by saying, oh, by the way, this is probably actually what it is, which I think is fair. I mean, yeah, you gotta rope the kids in, you gotta hook them. I understand. I understand that. As long as you at least touch on the fact that, hey, this is probably some college kids doing this as some sort of like hazing or some shit.
speculated. To me, it looks like some college-aged guy laying on a bathroom floor with makeup on. Could be a
Dude who got so drunk with his mates that he decided to mess with him. Let me see it from that angle.
Even if they were alive, they appeared to be in.
Wait, this isn't the... Is this the really good, high quality one they showed before? No, this is the high quality one you showed before. Yeah. Yeah, could be. Yeah, short hair, you know, the breasts aren't really, because it looks like they're, I mean, if they're probably naked, so, I mean, for the sake of, wait, yeah. You can see the nips right there. I think this is a dude. Yeah, I like that theory. I like that. That one makes sense.
Him even further by flashing it at the UFC when he knew the cameras would be broadcasting. It's also possible that it could be a deliberate attempt to create a creepy hoax, especially since it happened fairly close to Halloween. Cropping out just the phone and brightening up the image also makes it look a bit more like a regular photo. Some argue that now it looks like a man simply sunbathing on an outdoor lounge chair with a pool in the background. But why would someone
Yeah, but what's with a doorknob? That's the first thing I noticed.
be motivated to show something like this if it really was an innocent picture?
It's a dare. We already covered this. It's a dare. Yeah. Or it's a prank. It's like you got your buddy, you got the frat at the frat house watching UFC 91. They're like, bro, watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, yeah! It was Tony. It was Tony, and that was the fucking picture of Tony we took a week ago. Yo! That would be going crazy. That's more than enough reason to fucking do this, man.
At the end of the day, all of these theories are just guesses, and any number of things could really be going on.
And then they saw this reaction, they were like, yes, yo, bro, we're going viral, bro. It's so funny, yo. These crackers are fucking stupid.
Here, innocent or disturbing. Because the masked man's identity was never revealed, we will likely never know for sure.
100% a frat party prank. 100%.
Buried alive in Brazil.
A frat party prank.
In January 2018, a 37-year-old Brazilian woman named Rosângela Almeida was going about her day when she suddenly collapsed out of nowhere. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors found that she had experienced 2 cardiac arrests. She was in critical condition and eventually passed away on January 28 after barely clinging to life for a few days in the ICU. Her family held a memorial service for her that evening, and she was buried in the Sonora Santana Cemetery.
I don't like where this is going. I always have a fear of getting buried alive. That one is kind of fucked up.
Cemetery near her hometown. Her remains were placed in a wooden casket which was encased in a solid.
Okay, let me be clear. Oh, no, sorry. I thought for some reason I did that thing again where like I ingested the words and I still misinterpreted them. I thought it was like buried underground, buried alive. I was like, that's technically that's not underground. When I was talking about my fear, I was thinking of underground. If you're not underground, then I don't know. You can probably break out of that thing. Well, it's a couple of some ceramic tiles. If you get a hard enough punch, you can punch through that. You ain't punching through like 6 feet of dirt, right? You can punch through that. It would hurt, but you could do it. And yes, I could also dodge a battle axe, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Concrete tomb. Losing her at such a young age was devastating for her family, and especially her mother. What none of them knew, however, was that their grief was about to take a dark, tragic turn. You see, a day after her burial, reportedly, people living next to the cemetery started hearing noises from graves. These included the sound of someone banging their hands against a hard surface, as well as a faint scream in some instances. However, the neighbors initially brushed off the noises as a prank by children, something that apparently happened often enough for them to ignore the noises entirely. But several days passed and the sounds did not stop. It wasn't until 11 days later that someone realized that the sounds were coming directly from Rosangela's grave. The neighbors immediately
so
alerted her
creepy.
family upon making this
11
discovery,
days?
fearing that she might have been falsely declared deceased and was still alive when buried.
And then they opened the body and she's still been dead. And it wasn't like she died on the 12th day. It was like, wait a minute, she's always been dead.
What made the situation even more concerning was the fact that Rosangela had been suffering from fainting spells ever since she was little. The time she spent unconscious had also been increasing over the years. Maybe she was just passed out when the hospital staff incorrectly declared her dead.
No.
Family, friends, and neighbors.
I mean, yeah, it's haha funny. Brazil, they don't know anything about medicine, blah blah blah. I don't think you could I just don't see it. You know, it's like, I mean, I feel like Brazil, like the hospitals in Brazil, they know modern medicine, right? They know the because it's like very specific. I don't know if you guys ever read the Atul Gawande book, and I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. Also, on top of that, but it's like a 40-point checklist to determine whether someone is dead. And you have to go through each and every point to verify. Like, it's a very strict process to call someone dead at a hospital.
Rushed to the cemetery and opened her coffin, hoping to save her, with some people recording the whole event.
Shout out to the new live streaming all this.
Rosangela was showing no signs of life. However, the people who touched her body exclaimed that she was still a bit warm to the touch, implying that she was at least alive up until very recently. Later reports also claimed that the nails in the coffin were looser than they were when she was buried, and that there were injuries on her wrists and blood marks on the inside of the coffin that weren't present before. Even the pieces of cotton placed in her nose and ears were knocked out. Most importantly, witnesses...
Also, don't they put the another thing? Don't they do the This didn't happen. I'm just thinking, like, this 100% didn't happen. This lady was dead from the start. Because they put the stuff in you, right? We all played the mortuary's assistant, and by played I mean watch someone on YouTube play the mortuary's assistant. I'm also probably pronouncing that word wrong too. I don't think this happened.
Witnesses reported that she didn't seem nearly decomposed enough for someone who had died 11 days earlier.
Okay, who said that though?
Importantly, even the pieces of cotton placed in her nose and ears were knocked out. Most importantly, witnesses reported that she didn't seem nearly decomposed enough for someone who had died.
Witnesses. Not a, I don't know, funeral expert or an expert on decomposition or a doctor or, no, witnesses who probably read about this on Facebook determined that when they saw the body, I just didn't think it would be as decomposed as this.
Died 11 days earlier. After the casket was exhumed, Rosangela was taken back to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead for a second time and buried.
I don't know if that was on purpose. It's so funny. I'm sorry. It's the same. It looks like she's getting put again. Oh, it's the same one that they showed when she first died. I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Maybe she was just passed out when the hospital.
Oh, no, they showed it at the bebeginning though, right? When she first came in, it's like they rushed her to the hospital, but then she was presumed dead, and then again, it's like the fucking oh god, it's like a Simpsons bit. He showed the body again.
Family, friends, and neighbors rushed to the cemetery and opened dead for a second time. And buried.
It's like presumed dead for a second time. It's like the same exact scene.
Once again.
I don't know. I can't describe to you why that's. You have to watch Family Guy in order to understand why that's funny. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say on that.
The question everyone had on their mind, however, was whether she was buried alive the first time. Her family, and particularly her mother.
Yeah, if they got wrong the first time, well, they get it wrong the second time, you know.
They believed that was the case. Testimony.
They say like, oh, she didn't look like she looked like she moves eyes here and there. It looked like she died earlier, like when we first did it, you know.
From other people also seemed to back this conclusion, with one neighbor stating, There were more than 500 people who came here and packed the cemetery. Everybody went to see, lots of people touched her foot, and everybody saw that she was still...
This doesn't prove anything. It's probably warm because so many people are touching it. This dead body. If you people do not know about the extraordinary delusions and madness of crowds, and it shows.
Warm.
Okay.
She wasn't cold. Now, there are countless real stories of people tragically getting buried alive by accident, with many eventually passing away in the coffins before they could be rescued. And while the vast majority of these stories are from before we had modern medical tech, errors still do happen to this day. Just a few years ago, a Chinese woman was declared dead and sent to the funeral home before being discovered to be still alive. So, the idea of the same thing happening to Rosangela was a real possibility, especially when we consider the fainting spells she experienced her whole life. However, despite all the reports and supposed evidence, both the doctors and investigators stayed adamant that she had passed away before her burial. In a statement to the media, the doctor explained that she was already in a serious, irreversible condition when she arrived at the hospital. From there, she was put under an intense level of monitoring to observe all her vitals closely.
This is what I'm saying. Like, people don't think I'm gonna just say it. Half of you motherfuckers think that any country that's not like the West has a medical system that consists of some random dude from town with a stethoscope putting his fucking hand putting his stethoscope thingy, I don't know what they're damn called, to someone's chest and being like, I guess he's dead. Like, people have medicine. They have doctors in Brazil. They study the same shit that Americans study. Sometimes even better in the case of Cuba. Like, it's not the same thing. Or actually, I mean, I should say it is the same thing. But everybody just says like, oh, well, Brazil's a third world country, so they don't have real medicine. I would never go to a hospital in Brazil. Whatever.
So there was no way he could have falsely assumed her to be dead under those conditions. As for the slower decomposition, that was explained by the result of her being on strong antibiotics while she was in the hospital. But these explanations failed to convince Rosangela's mother, who was devastated by the thought of her daughter enduring days of suffering buried in her casket. The case also became major news across Brazil, with many even accusing the police of not doing a proper investigation to protect the hospital and the doctors. So, what really happened? Was Rosangela actually buried alive? From everything I was able to find, it's not likely. For instance, many people reported her body being warm to the touch after opening the casket, suggesting she was alive up until recently. However, even if we assume that she was buried alive, there's no way she would have had enough air in the tomb to stay alive for 11 days straight. Giving it the benefit of the doubt.
I said that earlier. I was like, 11 days? Really?
But let's assume there was a hole somewhere in the tomb big enough to let fresh air in. Even then, it's near impossible for her to stay alive without water for long, all while screaming and banging on the coffin. Speaking of which, the investigators also claimed that they didn't find anyone who personally heard the noises, implying that it was nothing more than a rumor. That said, the details surrounding the case, like the reports of wrist injuries and blood marks, are still a bit murky to reach
extraordinary delusions of the madness of crowds.
A solid conclusion. Whether or not Rosangela was actually buried alive is still, and will likely remain, unknown.
I think it's cap. I think it's cap.
The Wikipedia edit. WWE.
That is so ominous.
Wrestler Chris Benoit was scheduled.
Oh no, we're bringing back Benoit. Oh, that's a double whammy. The haunted Wikipedia edit. Someone of an unknown IP kept posting "Bring back Benoit" on every Wikipedia
for a live
article.
house show on Saturday, June 23, 2007 in Texas. But hours before the event, the 40-year-old wrestler called management and claimed that he wouldn't be able to make it because both his wife and son were ill with food poisoning. But he didn't show up the next day and wasn't picking up his phone either. After over 24 hours of trying to contact him, the WWE management dialed 911 and requested a wellness check for Chris on Monday, June 25, assuming that maybe he was sick as well and needed help. However, nothing could have prepared the officers that were dispatched to his home for the tragedy they were about to witness. They arrived at his house in Georgia at around 2:30 p.m. and rang the bell. When no one answered, they looked for a way inside and discovered the garage door was wide open. The whole house was eerily silent. the reason for which became apparent when they discovered the remains of Chris, his wife, and his son scattered throughout the house. And as it turned out, the person responsible for this tragedy was Chris himself.
Yep.
He ended the lives of both his wife and son before
CTE is one hell of a drug.
on himself. The question now was why.
What the fuck does this have to do with a Wikipedia edit?
Why would Chris do such a thing? But before the investigators could answer that question, they received a tip that challenged everything they thought they knew about this case.
There was a Wikipedia edit that said Chris Benoit was dead before. Is that where we're going with this?
They were contacted by a Wikipedia representative who
There ain't no damn way.
claimed that someone had made a suspicious edit to the Chris Benoit Wikipedia page at 12:01 a.m. over 14 hours before police did the welfare check.
What?
The edit read, Chris Benoit was replaced by Johnny Nitro for the ECW Championship match at Vengeance, as Benoit was not there due to personal issues stemming from the death of his wife, Nancy.
I've never heard of this. I have never heard of this. That's crazy.
The thing about Wikipedia is that it's a social collaboration platform where anyone can add new info or make edits. One possible explanation was that Chris, for some reason, made this edit himself. However, the autopsy report revealed that Chris had actually ended everything by Sunday evening, many hours before the edit. So, how did someone learn about what had happened before the news broke out?
Yeah.
The possibilities were endless. Maybe he had a second accomplice, or maybe he
I have never heard this Chris Benoit story before. That's crazy. Huh, now that's a rabbit hole. That's the first one that's got me stumped. Because I imagine there's not that many people doing like crazy edits like that, right? I think it might have had to have been Chris. No? Well, let's see what the theories are.
told someone about what he had done earlier. Tracing his phone revealed that he had sent 5 cryptic messages to 2 of his colleagues, Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Scott Armstrong, including one message that he sent 4 times, reading, "My physical address is
This one I know about.
0 Green Meadow Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia." And the second one that read, "The dogs are in the enclosed pool area. Garage side door is open."
Wait, but it says this one's at 3:53 a.m. But then I thought the edit was made at midnight, right? Or am I misremembering this?
These were sent just before 4 a.m. on Sunday, after he had already taken the lives of his wife and son.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no. Sorry, he hasn't died yet.
However, despite their unsettling nature, investigators didn't find any connection between what Chris did and the colleagues he sent these messages to. As for why he did it, the autopsy report also revealed that Chris had CTE, which is a progressive brain disease linked to repeated head impacts. His brain resembled that of an 85-year-old with dementia. Put simply, he likely experienced an extreme mental breakdown which resulted in an irreversible tragedy. However, while this reveal explained most of what happened, the Wikipedia edit was still a mystery.
Yeah.
This mystery deepened further when investigators managed to trace the IP address that was used to make the edit.
That's right, they can do that. What was the IP address? It was his fucking house.
And discovered that it was from Stamford, Connecticut,
Oh.
the location of the WWE headquarters.
Whoa. Okay, hold up. So WWE headquarters. Because he sent... But then how would... That's crazy. Because he sent the original text, of course, saying that, like, oh, my son and daughter have... Sorry. My wife and daughter have food poisoning, so I can't make it. And so I could see that spreading a little bit, right? When he said that or initially, he was like, oh, I guess he's not doing that well. Maybe in between the time before they did the welfare check, because a couple of hours probably passed, right? Maybe there were rumors going around of like, what happened? Man, it's crazy. We haven't heard from Benoit recently. And maybe some kid, some intern was like, we're going to edit this. Oh, maybe it's a good idea to edit the Wikipedia article so that people know or whatever. Something like that. I don't know. That's crazy.
This, combined with the text messages, reignited rumors that WWE management might have been involved in what happened. But before the case could move in that direction, investigators found the man who made the edit, a 19-year-old university student named Matthew Greenberg.
Yeah.
Matthew, however, was surprisingly cooperative. He allowed the police to confiscate his computer and other devices to investigate and agreed to an interrogation without any resistance. And when asked about his edit, he claimed that he made it after seeing rumors of it on wrestling forums.
Well, over like last weekend, the wrestler Benoit, there was like rumors going on because he missed the pay-per-view and his scheduled dates, which he never does. And I was
Oh wait, was it that long? No. Wait, really?
reading rumors and speculation online.
Where online?
Like on forums. I forgot the exact sites.
What's the wrestling subreddit called? Whatever.
But I was like,
Okay, hold on. On forums?
Circle square,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
squared circle.
In any chat
Or what are these forums?
rooms?
no, not chat rooms.
Hey, chat rooms you've been talking about this in?
Like I was just reading about it, and some rumors like came up, and I just
Yeah, what were the rumors?
that like his family was sick or someone maybe died, like his wife perhaps.
Yeah, so that lines up to the phone call, right? That he sent to the WWE people. But I thought that was like the same, like within 24 hours. I didn't think a week passed, did it?
Because he missed the pay-per-view.
Okay.
He was apparently telling the truth, as investigators didn't find a link between him and Chris. Wikipedia admins also found several other false edits he had made over the years, suggesting he was just an internet troll who guessed the truth by pure coincidence. Or at least that's the official story. Some believe that Matthew either had something to do with the incident, or at least had insider information.
Why? Why would he? That's stupid. No.
Especially since he wasn't the only one who made a similar edit. Something I
Yeah, because they all read it from the wrestling forum. It makes sense. His story checks out completely. He's some random 19-year-old kid who nobody gives a fuck about.
haven't mentioned yet is that there was a second similar edit just 1 hour after Matthews was removed, stating that Chris missed his show because of the passing of Benoit's wife, Nancy. The IP for this edit was traced to Sydney, Australia, but the person who made it was never identified.
Yeah.
For some, this is the confirmation that what everyone knows about Chris isn't the whole story, and there was something else going on below the surface.
No, that rumor story checks out. But I guess, was my time frames wrong? I guess my time frame must have been wrong. But I thought, that's weird.
On the other hand, the existence of this second edit could be used to prove Matthew's innocence, as they suggest the rumors were genuinely circulating on wrestling forums, since two seemingly unrelated people attempted the same change. That said, it's been more than 18 years since this incident, so even if there was something deeper behind it, at this point it's unlikely to be revealed.
It's unlikely we'll bring back Benoit, unfortunately.
Sunset Cruise. The final days of May 2020.
How many do we have? Is this about the guy who fell off the boat and they like moved the camera and then all of a sudden he's gone?
23 were meant to be a celebration for 18-year-old Cameron Robbins, a recent high school
I feel like Chilling Scares covered that video though.
graduate from
I feel like I
Baton Rouge,
learned about that
Louisiana.
from a Chilling Scares
He was on a
video.
celebratory cruise in the Bahamas with several hundred fellow graduates. The festivities, however, took a devastating
Yeah, this is video.
turn on the evening of May 24th, leading to a mystery that the internet is still debating to this day. At around
I
9:30
think
p.m., Cameron was aboard the
Once again, I read an explanation of this one that makes perfect 100% sense.
small cruise ship named the Black
Especially given the fact that we just saw, I mean, I know it's a separate video, but for context, we just saw the diving video, so you should know where this is going.
Beard's Revenge near the uninhabited Athol Island, northwest of Nassau. The ship was stocked with alcohol, and since the legal drinking age in the Bahamas is 18, Cameron and his friends were drinking non-stop. But as they were enjoying their time on the cruise, someone
Fell
reportedly
I'm gonna skip this one because I don't know how much time I have left to do the whole video, and I would like to do the whole video. So
dared Cameron
this kid fell overboard on this boat, very drunk. They saw him waiting in the water, and they're like, "Oh, ha ha ha! Dan got in the—I don't even remember what his name was. Dan got in the water. Oh, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him out." And then I don't know if he covers it here, but all of a sudden he just completely did like that. They move it away, and then maybe not that cut. At some point they move it away, and he's just gone, and he's not there. And everybody's like, what the hell happened to him? Like, how could he just suddenly disappear out of nowhere? What could have possibly happened? And the answer is that if you're really drunk, you have no idea what you're doing, and also you're completely naked, water, very cold and very rough. Ocean water is rougher than you think, especially if you don't have any like diving gear, any sort of buoyancy stuff with you. It can just take you down immediately and sink you, and that's exactly what probably happened. So we're gonna skip that one because I knew that one. There.
Gasser of Mattoon.
The Mad Gasser Mattoon. That sounds familiar. I feel like I've covered this one also.
On the night of September 1st, 1944, a woman in the small town of Mattoon, Illinois named Aline Carney woke up smelling a sickening sweet odor in her bedroom at around 11 p.m.
If I recall correctly, this is another Extraordinary Delusions in Popular Madness of Crowds, whatever it's called.
She dismissed the odor at first, thinking it was just the scent of flowers drifting in from outside her open window, but the sweetness soon became suffocatingly intense. She tried to get out of bed to investigate, but collapsed to the floor as soon as she stood up. That's when she realized she had no feeling in her arms or legs. The odor was also starting to cause a burning sensation on her lips and throat, making it difficult to even breathe. Seconds later, she also heard her daughter crying on the bed, asking why she couldn't move her arms or legs. Hearing this, Aline used all the strength she had to call for help, eventually getting the attention of her sister, who was sleeping in a different room. Her sister noticed the smell as well and determined that it was coming from the open bedroom window. She ran out to call the neighbors for help. Around the same time, Aline's husband, who was a taxi driver, pulled into the driveway. But before he could get out of his car, he was horrified to see a thin, tall figure standing outside the bedroom window. It was dressed in all black with what looked like a gas mask on its face and was holding a strange tubular device in its hand. The husband tried to chase after it, but the figure disappeared into a nearby alleyway. Given what they knew, the family concluded that the sweet-smelling gas had been released into the bedroom by the mysterious figure, later dubbed the Mad Gasser of Mattoon by the local media. Aline and her daughter were able to recover without any permanent damage to their bodies. However, the attack on their home became the template for numerous similar incidents over the next 2 weeks. Victims, mostly women and often home alone or with family, would report being hit with an odorless gas or sometimes a sickly sweet smell. This was followed by a range of symptoms like nausea, vomiting, temporary paralysis, dizziness, disorientation, and a burning sensation in the throat or eyes. In some cases, the symptoms lasted for hours, requiring medical attention. Yet, despite the severity of these chemical attacks, any attempts to investigate the gasser came up empty. There was no visible
it seems like the first one, though, must have been real. Maybe some sort of, I don't know.
Damage to homes, no broken windows, and no fingerprints. The mysterious assailant,
I'm assuming the later ones are fake,
seemed to vanish into thin air. Witnesses and victims reported seeing shadows or figures lurking outside their windows, specifically near the ventilation openings of their homes. But the police never found any evidence of it. The sheer volume of attacks with
Did they ever figure out what the gas was?
These 29 officially reported incidents in a very short span, combined with the inability of law enforcement to find any evidence, created an atmosphere of absolute terror. It reached a point where some citizens took it upon themselves to patrol the streets with firearms. People were sleeping in shifts, guarding their homes and neighbors. However, no matter how much people tried, a perpetrator was never identified or captured, leaving the Mad Gasser of Mattoon as an eerie, unsolved mystery. But it's worth asking whether these attacks by a chemical assailant were even real, or was the entire phenomenon an unprecedented wave of mass hysteria? The argument for it being a real assailant rests almost entirely on the initial medical findings and specifically of the reported symptoms. In the first few cases,
that kid in the background was scary as fuck.
Doctors and police were genuinely convinced that a real chemical agent had been deployed. The victim's symptoms like paralysis, nausea, and the burning sensation were too consistent and too severe to be immediately dismissed as simple panic. On the other hand, the argument for this being a case of mass hysteria is incredibly compelling. It's also the theory favored by many criminologists and psychologists who have reviewed the case since. As the theory goes, while it's possible that the few initial incidents might have involved a real criminal, the vast majority of the 29 reported attacks were likely the result of...
No, I don't care about the 20 more attacks. I care about the first attack. Because why the fuck would somebody with gas? But like, why? Because that's such a specific way to kill like a random person. I almost wonder if it was like an accident. Like that's what like a shared lawn or something, and he was doing like some shit, like some sort of weird science experiment, and then he like heard the people start screaming, and he was like, "Oh fuck, I should stop doing this." Or I don't know.
Of psychological contagion. The terror of a mysterious, invisible attacker, amplified by continuous sensational newspaper coverage,
That's
made people
interesting.
hypersensitive to any strange smell or discomfort. Many of the reported symptoms, for example, like headaches, nausea,
Our
anxiety,
classic hysteria symptoms. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just gonna cut it here because it seems like he's just gonna keep talking about this for another minute or so. I will see you in the next one.